Good afternoon, good morning. This is Mark Johnson from Loyalty 360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and healthy. Welcome back to our Loyalty 360 Thought Leadership Series. In this series, we talk to the leaders in customer loyalty about customer channel and brand loyalty best practices, but also the technologies and insights that are impacting a brand's ability to drive unique experience and engagement. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Kim Welther, who is the Vice President of Marketing Strategy for Baesman. How are you, Kim?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. I have a question for you. Can you tell us a little bit about Baesman for people who may not know what Baesman is and what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. It might not be a name that a lot of people recognize. So let me kind of give you a little bit of the history. Baesman's been around for over 60 years now. It began as a sheet-fed printer, and it's really evolved its services to help brands and help marketers in other ways. So we've created a CRM and loyalty division, and we also have fulfillment services that we help a lot of brands with. Our history is really rooted in retail, but we've been really able to apply those experiences from the B2C companies across all different industry and brands. And we're able to really develop a more personalized experience because of that.
Excellent. Can you tell us about your role within the organization?
Sure. I lead our CRM and loyalty division. I work with brand marketing teams to identify both CRM and loyalty strategies. We help with execution. We help with hindsight. We have a variety of clients. We're, as I mentioned, heavy in retail, but we have home services, healthcare, and we do have all of our clients' data in-house, so we can make sure that we can be the best provider for them.
Okay. Yeah. For those who don't know you, obviously you guys do a lot with regard to CRM, data best practices, data hygiene, kind of marketing automation, whether it's direct mail or email or others. So you guys do a very unique role in that. And a lot of times other people will have a loyalty program running with someone else, and you come in and really help increase the efficacy of that program, correct?
Yeah, that is very true. We're kind of different in that we are platform and technology agnostic. So we get to work with a lot of different brands and technology partners, as well as have one ourselves.
Okay. Can you give us an overview of your customer loyalty offering, kind of the technology consulting, kind of the whole approach that you have to, driving deeper engagement?
Sure. So we really are former brand side marketers, and we really wanted to bring that brand sided experience to the agency side. So we understand the challenges that marketers are facing on a daily basis, and our fundamental approach is technology supporting marketing. So many times, and I've had this challenge on the brand side as well, marketers are provided the technology and we're forced to adapt and build our strategies around that. And that's why we really created the Baesman CRM and loyalty, to make sure that marketers have the ability to execute whatever strategy they want and not let technology be the restriction.
Okay, great. What are some of the biggest challenges, or what may be the biggest challenge, kind of opportunity you're seeing around customer loyalty, customer experience now, especially a lot of transition, right? Stores are open, stores are closed, they're having to reinvent themselves. What are some of the, what's the biggest opportunity that you're seeing right now from a brand side?
Yeah, I would say marketers are constantly sent roadblocks. We're always trying to find the right offer, the right messaging, the right time. We've spent years testing and learning, trying to roll these strategies out, maximizing sales, reducing costs, and the challenges really never stop. But as we're talking to brands right now, we're faced with a whole kind of new level of challenges where the customers have so much of the power and the brands don't. And the world where we have controls and holdouts and we're learning is quickly slipping away. We've always wanted to hear the customer voice. It's been something we've searched for forever, but now we have all of these social platforms and where the customer has more of a voice than they've ever had. And it's really taking away a lot from the marketers. We are faced with a challenge of, we can't hold out. We might sacrifice the best brand experience because the customers want to get all the offers. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges we're working with brands on right now is how do we make sure when customers have such a big voice that we're still able to do the right strategies? And where do we put the customer experience versus the brand learning? And how do we kind of balance that?
Okay, that's awesome. And one of the things that we've seen and I heard, we actually just had a brand meeting, about 10 brands on a call, some challenges. One of the things that we see, and love to have your perspective on this, is a lot of new customers, right? So people that may be frequenting Overstock or going to Luxottica, they may not be the traditional customer, right? So they may be staying in hotels, they may be frontline service workers, right? So there seems to be I don't want to say a lot of noise with the data right now, but kind of acquiring new customers, they may spike with you and do a lot, but that may not be the true customer dynamic, because it is such a kind of challenging and unique time. Have you seen
Yeah.
anything in regard to that? Just kind of some of the data sets right now and how individual are engaging with the brand may be different from a kind of a historical perspective?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something as we came out of Q1 and Q2 and going through the pandemic, where a lot of brands weren't able to move as quickly as they needed to and shut stores. They weren't able to do curbside pickup. And so we did see a lot of brands that were able to kind of capitalize on other stores being closed. And thus their new customers skyrocketed in Q1 and Q2. And the biggest challenge there is, well, how do we maintain that? And so we really want to make sure, and thankfully with loyalty programs, we're able to kind of capture all that data and really help to harness a lot of that kind of new customers that came in. But it's definitely a concern of you got them and you want to keep them, and making sure that the right loyalty kind of triggers are in play to keep them.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Customers are changing. We heard that obviously going back for a lot of time. You talk about they have more control than they have in the past. Some brands are doing well with that, some are struggling. How do you see customers changing and now and going forward? What are you seeing from your brand clients?
Yeah, absolutely. The customer is changing. There's no doubt about it. And the brands are the ones that are doing it well are answering those changes. But we see a lot of brands that aren't adapting to the change. And that's where you really see brands succeed and you see brands decline based on the ones that are doing it right. And so while the customer is changing and we're not moving at the speed that they're changing, then we're seeing brands kind of fall out because they're not able to adapt to that. Free shipping and free returns has been something we've talked about for the last 5 years. There are still brands that haven't been able to conquer that hurdle yet, and they're not only quickly going to get that hurdle as a challenge, they're going to get expedited shipping. So it's really about making sure that they understand, while the finance and the P&L won't look right, it's the right decision for the brand to be moving as quickly with the customers. So making sure that they understand the customers, again, have these platforms that they've never had in the past, and we have to adapt and we have to make sure that the brand is stable enough to kind of meet those expectations.
That's interesting. A lot of marketers are talking about planning for Q3, Q4. Q1 and GDP just came out today, right? Historic kind of shrinkage that we've seen in the history of the U.S., right? 34% or something like that. So huge challenges in June, especially. How do marketers start planning for Q3, Q4, online, offline? They're doing a lot of transformation in store, whether it's buying online, picking up in store. There's so much going on right now. How can they effectively plan for Q3 and Q4?
Yeah, I think it's really setting the expectation up front to begin your planning, and then also be prepared for replanning and replanning. As we head into Q3 and Q4, it's crucial that we're set up to be reactionary to all scenarios that we can map out now. We have to be ready for those in-season changes. We have to have those engagement tactics and levers to pull. Most brands are hoping to see positive Q3 and Q4. I think that's been kind of the predictions that we've heard in the industry. But I think preparing for that, knowing that we're heading into an election year and we're heading into pandemic in Q3 and Q4 that we're still in, those are going to leave levels of uncertainty that we're not sure about what's happening. So we need to make sure right now is the time. Oh, do we have the right reporting in place? Do we have daily, weekly? Do we have this in-season planning going? And how do we make sure that we're prepared to go real time? Because marketers are going to be real time in Q3 and Q4. So plan, but get ready to replan.
That's interesting. And then we've heard that as well. Just a big kind of focus on kind of digital transformation, right? Everyone working from home, marketing budgets have shifted. They put some projects on hold and kind of expedited others. But truly getting that integrated digital experience and getting hold of their data. I mean, again, we just had a call earlier today at one, had some brands on the call, just having the store associates dashboard look the same, having the product available in store, online, through the app. That's a big challenge, right? Are you seeing that as a big challenge as people move and push that digital transformation? Some of the challenges they're seeing there.
Absolutely. Everyone is trying to kind of predict, get ahead. Again, customer first. How do we make sure that we've got all the digital and the in-store things that are easy to get to, easy to access, running out for curbside pickup? We have to have all those things implemented in Q3 and Q4.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good point. So last question, you talked about plan and replan, being proactive there. What are some specific pieces of advice or even recommendation for these brands that are going into Q3, back to school, holiday season? Well, what are some pieces of advice or recommendations you would give to them?
Yeah, I would say the biggest piece of advice will be ready. The new reporting, get it in place now, build out your scenarios now, and most importantly, prepare your team for what Q3 and Q4 will look like. As we go into this, your home office, your store associates, everybody needs to be prepared for a new normal of change. And as we go into that, we've got to be brainstorming around what does that look like, rally the team around kind of this Q3, Q4 initiative, because it's not going to look like any Q3 or Q4 we've had in the past. It's going to be completely different.
That's true. That's awesome. Well, Kim, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's always
Absolutely.
a pleasure to talk to you and know what you guys are doing in Baesman. And for those who don't know, Baesman, they are kind of a very unique powerhouse, very focused on retail. They drive measurable results. They do some really cool things around kind of getting net value of customers from an acquisition perspective. They'll be featured in our upcoming industry report. And thank you very much for taking the time again, Kim.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Mark.